So now we're on the rear of the frame. Well, the bottom of the rear. I've been on the rear this whole time. Built me a rotisserie, as you can see. Check out the video for that if you haven't seen it already. But got my plate cut out for right here. Actually, got that side done already. Cut that one by hand. Messed around with the plasma table on this one. Traced my template. It turned out good. I'm happy with it. These holes were kicking my butt. I got that one there, and the one up there. Those all drilled by hand, and the hole saw just ain't cutting it. That's why I made this one on the plasma table. One, kind of get a little bit more experience with it, and two, it cuts a hole a hell of a lot faster, hell of a lot nicer. There's actually my test piece right there. So, got my new piece, my 3/16 plate cut. I'm gonna fit it up here, start clamping it down, and welding it in. Got a rear piece all fitted in there, pretty much welded up. I'm trying to burn through some welding gas, about to run out. Trying to get it empty so I can go ahead and go to the store and get some. But we're moving on to the arches. As you can see, I got a little cheater device here. I've had this forever. I was kind of lazy and didn't really feel like building this little clamp. But I also want to show you guys it can be done with C-clamps. Just is a lot faster. It gets a lot smoother, a lot tighter bends. But as you can see, we're going to work our way down the arch. Got my metal bent just by hand. We're going to start clamping it little bit by little bit, start tacking it in, and just work it all the way around. We got that body mount there lined up. Hopefully we'll hit our mark with this body mount. So we're just going to do it a little bit at a time, kind of push it as we go. Kind of keep trying to check this and make sure it's going to line up. You know, right now it looks like it's too far, but that's because that right there has a big gap. Once we push that down, it'll pull that back. But we'll just do a little bit at a time, keep our eyes on it, and if it doesn't line up, we'll cut our tacks, move it, you know, try again. All right, so we're getting there. We got it coming up here. This was a little bit off, so I had to come back here, grind those tacks out, hit it over, and it's looking pretty good now. I'm happy with it. We're looking good on our edge, looking good on the inside. So just clamping away, you know, little bit by little bit. We're about there. All right, so we're starting to lay out our front template on our steel. I'm gonna show you, obviously you know how to draw soapstone on steel. That's not what I'm trying to show here. But like for my holes here, I'm not gonna cut these out. Well, I'm not gonna come out with a torch or a plasma cutter. I'm actually gonna drill them. So what I'm gonna do, I'll mark my centers of them. I'm gonna put a center punch on there. Same thing for the sway bar mounts. I don't know if he's gonna run a sway bar or not. I'm gonna leave it there, so if he wants to put a chrome sway bar on, he can. So I'm going to just do a center punch on the holes. I'm going to drill them out a little bit bigger than what the bolt holes are. Kind of leave a little bit of room for error if need be. Hopefully it'll be pretty precise. But yeah, I'm just going to put a mark on them. Not going to bother trying to trace it out on the steel. And this I did because I don't know why. Just so I can locate it. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to just put a center punch there. I'm going to drill it out with a hole saw once I cut it out. Actually could probably do it before I cut it out, but it's easier doing on a drill press. So got all that done. I'm going to lay my other template out, cut them both out, drill them out, and then we'll bend them up. So we're continuing on with the front of the frame. We got the bottom side now. I'm going to do the front horns. This is the driver's side because the frame's upside down. But yeah, I'm going to do the front horn, show you kind of how I bend it up. You already seen me make the template, so you got a good idea what we're doing. So we're going to start bending it up. It's got a few contours on it. I may cheat and use my brake. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to try and do it basically just by hand, you know, because that's more likely what you guys have. Most people don't have a brake. I didn't have one for a long time. I just bought one. The sucky thing is it doesn't do what I wanted it to do. So yeah, it was an expensive tool. It didn't do what I wanted it to do. But I'll end up using it eventually. So I mean, maybe it'll pay for itself. So let's get the bending this up. We'll tack it in and then burn it. We got our plate sitting on there. As you can tell, it's going to need some bending, obviously. But what we're kind of going to do, basically line up those holes. The body mount's looking pretty good. And the sway bar bushing, yeah, sway bar mount, either or, looking pretty good. So we're going to try and, you know, kind of use those to make sure we're where we need to be as we start bending this. Basically, how I'm going to attack this is there's more or less a straight line right across here on the frame. So I'm going to draw me a little mark with some soapstone. Go put it in the vise, bend this down. Then I'm going to come over here, and there's also another straight line. Put it in the vise and bend that. Yeah, we'll just kind of wing this and see how we do. Maybe want to bend that. You can flip it around the vise and just put a gradual bend on there. We'll see how that goes. The other side I already did it. It was actually a little step, and I did put that in the brake because it was a little bit sharper than this, but it turned out really good. I was kind of nervous, honestly, when I was doing it, but it turned out good. So we're going to see how this is. It'll turn out good anyways. We'll just keep doing it. So I got me some little marks on the top. Obviously, we don't want to draw a line here because we don't want to bend it up. We want to bend it down. So I just threw me a little mark on the side of the metal. I'm going to flip the metal over, basically connect the dots, and then we'll bend it on that side. So I've got a piece of metal in the vise. I put the part that has the holes in the vise itself. If I put it up here, it'd probably change the shape of it a little bit, put a little bit of a bend in it. I'm going to try and keep this as straight as I can because it is pretty straight on the frame. So that's why I got it this way. I'm going to bring this to me, throw a adjustable wrench on it, pull it to it. Just go back and forth to the frame until it's where I want it to be. That's hot. So there's our first bend. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you can spend your time and get it just right, but we're going to be clamping most of this down. It's going to pull down with a clamp just right. So now we're going to make us a little mark right there, bend it this way, and probably not going to try and do such a tight bend just because it has that radius. I'll probably chuck it in the vise right here and then just kind of grab it somewhere back in here and do a gradual bend, and we'll see how it goes. I might do a sharp bend here and then just flip it over in the vise and do a gradual bend. We'll see how it goes. And same as last time, we got sway bar holes in the vise, so this is try to stay as flat as we can get it. And we got our, there's a mark obviously. So we're gonna bring this towards us a little bit and then kind of see what we need to do next. As I said before, if you don't have a 24-inch adjustable wrench, very, very handy thing to have. And it looks like it needs to go a little bit more. One of these days I'll actually build a metal bender. I had one a long time ago. It was kind of a crazy idea. Just built out a bunch of scrap. It actually worked decent. It surprised me. Because, I mean, it literally was kind of a stupid idea. But, yeah, I need to build one. I don't know why I haven't yet. Guess I'm just waiting on the perfect day. Alright, so this is kind of where you just got to start using your imagination and, you know, kind of thinking things out. Can't hold it over the frame, obviously, because it's bent down, hitting the frame there. So I'm going to hold it off to the side, kind of check things out. On the camera, it looks terrible. In actual reality, it doesn't look that bad. But yeah, so we're going to start making our backwards bend here now. And don't really have a plan for that. Like I said, I'm going to just put in the vise kind of far down here and bend it and see how it goes. Just kind of work with it. Alright, one thing I could kind of do, just make small bends and just lower it down in the vise and make a gradual bend. I don't really feel like wasting all that time. So we'll just grab it, try and make a gradual bend and see how it turns out. That doesn't look too bad. We'll see how it looks on the frame. I'm actually kind of getting good at this. Yeah, that's not too bad of a bend. And we put our clamp on here. That should lay down pretty smooth. So I'm thinking I'm going to rock with this. Basically, I'm going to start at the front, line up my body mount, line up our sway bar mount, and just kind of start working my way back. That's what I did on the other side, and it worked really good. Just going on both sides, tacking it, working its way back. Monitoring these holes, because they are pretty crucial. And if these holes line up, this stuff's going to line up. So I'm just going to work my way back. And if you didn't already know, I'm using a bunch of clamps. So I'm going to get you guys set up on a time lapse, because I'm kind of going to do this in one swift motion. Basically start up here, start working my way back. The holes are lined up. This one is a little bit off, but I'm pretty sure when I close this gap up, it's going to bring that over just a little bit. So I'm going to be happy with that. And with that being said, I'm going to get you guys on tripod and start burning this thing in. All right, I'm gonna try my best not to stand in the way. I've noticed editing some videos. Yeah, I'm pretty much always in the way. Sorry guys, it's just how it is. Yeah, you can use a hammer also, so I mean, everybody freak out on that. But yeah, the way I hit it, you really don't have any hammer marks. Pretty much just burn over them. So let's get this party started. Whacking the hell out of it that way. Well, that's because my holes didn't want to really line up after I started welding, it started moving. So, beat the hell out of it that way, eventually pushed it into persuasion, at least to a point where I'm happy with it. But the rest of it turned out pretty good, really happy with it. The little curve turned out nicely. Once again, beat the hell out of it with a hammer. I'll bring you guys in for a close-up. You know, really can't tell the hammer marks. Nothing that a small grinder wouldn't take care of. I hit them on the edge. You know, I basically just hit the corner of it, get it to where I need to, do my best to weld over it, that way it hides it. And that's pretty much what we're working with. As you guys seen, I hit here pretty good with a hammer. I guess I could have cleaned it up with a wire brush, but show you guys the raw, uncut version. Yeah, ain't too bad. And if you might have paid real close attention, you might see me burn through the frame there. I did. Whoopsie. Small little spot. Probably right in there. But, can't tell. Just got to do a little spot weld here and there, and then run on with it once you fill it up. You can knock that little booger off, though. But there's our holes. They line up pretty good. I'm happy with them. Bolt will go in there. So, we're done with this side. Gonna keep moving on. And there's our Kamikaze Ladybug. You might have noticed in the fast motion I was shaking my head because it was in my hood. I was trying to get it out. So now we got our front horns reinforced. We're going to move on to the spring pocket. As you may see, I open it up a little bit. Kind of try and prevent the coil from ever catching on the edges. I see them catch here and see them catch here sometimes and actually get jammed up. So I open that up to kind of hopefully prevent that from ever happening. As you can see, we got a template made. Baby, yeah, also got some metal made. Got a little bit formed into fit. So I'm gonna start welding this down. Kind of start hitting it with a hammer in such places. Right there, you can see I hit it with a hammer. Ain't really a whole lot you can do about that. You gotta get it formed. So we're gonna get it fit in, start tacking it, and I'll bring you back when we got it in there. side. These little grooves right here and here, I basically ground those down as flat as I could get them. That way when my plate sets on here, didn't have no kind of gap. Let everything lay good and flat. And also you can kind of see right there, that's where I'm going to cut it. Basically just follow it right around that little curve. Knock that out just to open that up a little bit. Now we're going to move on to what I think in my mind is about the hardest part on the frame. It's a pretty good bend, pretty wide piece of metal. Definitely can be done, obviously. I am going to cheat. I'm going to use my brake to achieve these bends here and these bends here. You can do it without a brake. I have done it. I have a brake now, so I'm going to make life a little bit easier on me. Like I said, I've done it in a vise. It's a pain, you know, but basically get it started down here, put your little backwards bend, and then curve this over in a vise. You know, that's a good starting point. You can put some good tacks down here, put your clamps on there and roll it over, and kind of just bend it all down from there. But I got to do that side still, so I'll bring you along. Kind of got in work mode on this one. My camera is full from footage of the Hulk, so didn't have time to upload it or anything into the computer, so I just rolled on with this. I was trying to make some progress. But I'll bring you along for that one over there and kind of show you what I'm talking about. As you can see, it kind of does like a S-curve of a bend. So what we're going to do, we're going to come down to this beginning here. I'm going to actually throw this in the vise and put a little bend in it. I think that was the easiest way. And then this right here, I'm kind of trying to achieve with the brake. Well, we're off to a good start. We just lost power for a second. That's cool. Had my plasma cutting computer on, so I'm sure that was good for it. Yeah, let's put us a little bend in here. Doesn't really need a whole lot. Hopefully that'll be enough. Got me a few small reference marks. I'm gonna just kind of do a slow bend there. Just kind of work my way in or out, whichever way. I'm gonna go in. It doesn't matter. But just put some small bends in there, kind of create a curve. Just a little bit of a bend in there. Probably gonna need more when you go check it out. Yep, this bend's pretty good, so we're gonna kind of work from there on down. You got a curve going on now. And with it just sitting there, you can see it's fitting the frame a little bit better now. So we're gonna keep on doing some bends. Try and get as close as we can. I mean, that right in there, we can pull that down with a clamp, so that is pretty close. But we'll see if we can get a little bit closer. But so far, it's going good. So we got our contour. I'm pretty well happy with it. We'll pull the rest of it down with the clamp as we go. So we gotta get it much further than that. But we're gonna start tacking it up, start throwing some clamps on it, and get it formed to fit, burn it in. Now I got still one tack on it, got my clamps on it. It's pretty well pulled in a position where I'm pretty happy with it. I'm gonna basically start running with some weld and tapping it down with the hammer as need be. It's pretty well fit. Only real bad spot is just down here in the curve, which that's a pretty hard curve to do. And really it isn't all that bad. You know, I'm kind of critiquing a little bit more when I need to really. But once we start putting some heat in it, we'll be able to form it to where we need it to be. In all honesty, it's looking pretty good. I got no complaints. You can see with just a little tap, we got it closed up and keep on burning. That's what I'm talking about. I'll hop on over to the other side now. So before I go to the other side, you may notice I put a little tack weld there, hit it with a hammer. What that's called is a hot tack. Basically you're heating it up pretty good, you know, so it's glowing red. hit it with your hammer while it's still formable, and as it cools, it'll basically stay wherever you hit it. So that's a pretty good little tip to know. I've said it a bunch of times on this frame, but just in case you missed it, it definitely helps out. Very, very handy for getting stuff to do what you want it to do. So now we're done with this side. I'm gonna move on over to the other side. Hopefully it'll go as smooth, because I'm pretty happy with that, and no complaints really at all. This side actually seemed to fit a little bit better, so we should be all good. I'm probably gonna be definitely all up in you guys' view on this one. This is the cramped side of the shop. Smart man would have filmed that side. As I said, it kind of was in work mode. So now I just pay the price. And I guess you guys will too. Put me a little tack. Well, I'm gonna run me a little bead there. Kind of just start forming everything else. I said I actually had a little bit more of a gap than I thought it did. It'd be alright. We'll fix that. Now with Clyde making noise and Lover making noise, one thing I kind of, I don't know if I say this in the chat, just tell you about, there will be a gap no matter what you do on either side, well, one side or the other. It's just because the frame is overlapped, so you have that void right there. That's where I'm going to just roll this down, pretty much, you know, roll the whole corner, get as close as we can, and then just burn it in. And for some instance, if you're wondering why I have a gap there of the frame, you're just jumping on board. This was partially wrapped before, so I didn't really take account for it back then. Being fully wrapped, usually bring it all the way to the corner here, beat it all up. But we're just making do with what we got. I'll probably run past a weld there too, that way it'll just fill it up and blend it all together. Now I'm going to finish it up, that final weld there. You may think I left a little bit big of a gap. I kind of did it intentionally because I want to be able to tie into the frame, the lower control arm mount, and our plate. Just to tie it all together. So we're going to lay a pretty thick, heavy bead in there. I'll knock you guys over first. Come around and get that side. I was kind of worried it kind of turn like crap on this side. Whoop. Got her all burned in. Move on to the next piece. So I may have left you guys behind when I did that plate. Not sure if I did or not. If not, I'm bringing it along now. That plate is done. Just simple. Cut out, bend it, throw it in. And we're gonna put that little plate in there. If I can get it to stay up there. Finish that. Just cover that little bare spot there. What I need to do, I need to pull that up just a tad bit, because you can, well, you might not be able to see it, but it has a little curve up. So I'm going to bend it, and then just hammer it down as we weld it in. But throw me a little bend in there, clean this up, get ready to burn it in. Work on a part for the transmission cross member. Got it all cut out. Fits like a glove. About to burn it in. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. It's starting to kind of drag out. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and hit the like button too, because I know you like this video. Tell your friends, share it, comment, all that good stuff. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
What seems to be the problem?
Good shot. Got away free. It lives to die another day.